Now, Marilyn, we talked earlier, and it seemed like I get the feeling that it really peeved you, and you being representative of the homeowners, about the suggestion that to show that your economic health might be damaged by the historic designation, then they'd ask for 5 years of tax returns. That seems like get everybody like, I don't want the government looking at it. Do you think that's a general feeling across the board? From
I don't know a single person who thinks that it makes any sense in any way. First of all, let's think about what this is about. It's supposed to be about the quality nature of a historic structure. Now, what does my tax return have to do with whether or not that is a really quality structure? Has nothing to do with it. And to try to connect in some way what someone's personal economic situation is to whether or not the home or structure is of real quality architecture is just totally irrational.
So the designation itself is kind of ambiguous in your opinion?
Well, when we look at the latest proposal that City Council is dealing with and was delivered by someone, we're assuming city staff at the direction of City Council, it seems very punitive when they're talking about trying to submit 5 years of tax returns, 5 years of bank accounts, personal statements. No, it doesn't at all relate to historic preservation. And the way that they've proposed it, the only way to be considered to get off the list, if I say, wait a minute, you know, my house was built in 1990, that has nothing to do with historic preservation. I don't even get to say that according to the new rules that they're proposing. Instead, I'm supposed to take my bank accounts in my 5 years of financial statements to prove that the house wasn't, or that I should be off the list. So it has nothing to do with the facts about the house, but instead one's personal financial situation. And you're supposed to be able to prove that your situation is worse than the next guy's situation. I don't know how they're going to do that. It seems irrational.
Talking about the properties themselves,
yes.
You brought along some slides today, and I think Alina's got those ready to go here pretty soon. So we're going to let you walk us through what you
Great. They're
just
a few slides of homes. This is one on the list, and the next one we'll see is a home that looks very much like that that's not on the list. And this is part of the problem that people have with the arbitrary nature of the list. They see their home and their neighbor's home. This is one example on Waters Avenue. There's another house on Waters Avenue that's right down the street. That one, probably designed by the same architect, built at the same time. One's on the list, one is not on the list. This is a building downtown that one is on the list. Its neighbor, looking very similar, is not on the. That one is actually on the list, and the one beside it was not. And in fact, on our website, which is www.aspencitizensgroup.com, there is a architecture test, and you test yourself as to which of these is on the list. This one was on the list. The one prior was not. This house is not on the list. This one is. So what we've done is shown in which gas station in town is on the list. There's one gas station, and then the other gas station. Which one was on it? The first one. It's almost comical if your property is not on the list, but
there's a genuine fear about being on that list.
Oh, absolutely. When we consider that so many of these people are in fact retirees, people who their entire financial security is tied up in the value of that home, and not to be able to sell it in order to develop it, and in fact, once a home is under threat of designation, it's very difficult to obtain a second mortgage. It's impossible to obtain a reverse mortgage. So it really reduces the owner's liquidity, the ability to sell, and certainly they can't do much to remodel it. So of course people fear that.
And when we talked before on TV, Aspen, you remember you made some mention that you strongly suggested that some of the residents were intimidated to the point, maybe even threatened by city planners, city government officials over, don't mess with us, or you might get on the list too.
Oh, I don't know of anyone who has been told that in so many words in any way, but there are people who are very fearful of speaking up because they are afraid of being included on the list, or their property being subject to such restrictions, because so much of this is in fact arbitrary, capricious. There are no rules that
But there's been no direct threats of any
not
kind?
Not that I know of, certainly not, no.
Okay. So Monday night, we'll see what happens. And who are your allies on City Council, do you think?
Well, certainly Dwayne Romero from the very beginning has taken the position there was not an emergency, there were not good facts, and that the public should have the voice in what happens in terms of historic preservation in Aspen. Steve Skadron quickly, unfortunately, but still a little too late, quickly determined that he had made a mistake in voting for this. And so he and Dwayne consistently through the last 5 months have tried to reverse this whole thing. But they are only 2 of the 5 votes. And so far, 3 of the 5 have decided to maintain it for whatever reason, although they don't really ever articulate what it is they are trying to preserve and why.
Well, Marilyn, thanks for coming on TV.
Well, thank you very much for the invitation.
As
I've
this all
enjoyed it.
shakes out, make sure we have you back, and
Well,
Mike
thank you.
Maples and some others, as well as some city planners too.
Let's hope it shakes out soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll be back with more. Stay with us here on TV Aspen.